So our next section now is learning how we can actually create some geometry. I'll start off with the rectangle tool that you've got over here. This is an easy way to just start initially. So just selecting that rectangle tool, by default if there's nothing else to orientate where the pencil might start drawing from, like at the moment in this blank drawing, apart from this person figure here, there's nothing to say where you might be. So by default, if I click a point just here at the moment, that will go with a blue value of 0. In other words, it will be in the red-green plane. So if I just click somewhere out there for the moment, and because I'm using the rectangle tool, SketchUp now wants to know I click that as a starting corner. I just now move my mouse to some other place and click again, and it has created a two-dimensional rectangle for me. So I'll just get you to try something like that initially. So we've just got a simple rectangular shape, and it's all laying in one plane. And if you do orbit so that you're looking on edge to the red-green axes, you can see how that rectangular plane lies on that red-green axis plane. In other words, it's back at the 0 of the blue. So get yourself a rectangle like that as a starting point, and then we'll show you the next fairly interesting little tool that you'll get a little bit of a lot of value out of, and that's this push-pull tool here. So I'll just highlight where I am there at the moment over in the toolbar. That's my push-pull tool. Now I can just grab my push-pull tool, and then while I'm in the push-pull tool there, as I go over the top of a face that has been drawn already, I can click and hold. That's left click and hold. I can then drag, and it will drag in a direction perpendicular to that face that I've selected, and then I can get it to a position where I've dragged it up, given it some height in other words, and then let it go. And I've now given that rectangular face some elevation height. Clicking on another face, you can see how the push-pull tool pushes or pulls that particular face in all sorts of different directions. So now that you've actually created some geometry there, it's all in a bit of a sketch mode at the moment. Apart from the reference to the size of the person figure there, you really don't know how big you've drawn anything at the moment, but that's okay. We'll just do things in a bit of a sketch mode to start with, and then show you how you can control the size of the geometry later. But the next tool I wanted to show you then, we've used the rectangle tool already. The next tool I'll get you to have a bit of a play with will be the line tool. Now we could have actually drawn a rectangle by using this line tool, but the rectangle tool is just an easy way of quickly getting the four sides and the face in one go. But if I select that line tool now, what's important about SketchUp is it interprets the face that you're going to orientate your geometry to automatically. What I mean by that is, if I pick up the line tool, the pencil, and hover over the top of, say, this face, as you can see, a tooltip pops up saying it's on the face. So I can start drawing line work, and it will actually go on that three-dimensional face just there. Now, if you noticed as I drew that, as I started drawing lines, and I'll do it again to show you, as I start drawing lines, the lines actually appear on the screen a bit thicker. They're a heavier line weight. But if I keep drawing along, and presuming that they are coplanar and lying on the same plane, as soon as those lines close, watch carefully, as soon as it closes, the lines become thinner. And that's a bit of a visual aid to you straight away. When you see the lines become thin, you know you've closed the face and it's coplanar. Just let me zoom out here a bit and start drawing some lines nowhere out in space here, so automatically they will go at a blue value of 0. And I'll zoom in a bit, and you can see how they are thick. Now as I draw these lines, can you see how we can see that we are drawing in the green axis direction? and then I'm back in the red axis direction. And now if I was to do this at the moment, I might think I'm closing that shape, but in actual fact I'm going nowhere to close the shape. Now here's the trick that the trap that a lot of you will fall into. You'll think that you're now drawing another shape and ready to close it again, or maybe even you're going back here, but can you see that we're actually drawing on the blue axis? And do you know what that means? That at the moment, if I was to click like that, let me orbit, and it's not on the same plane. So when I do come back and close here, those lines are still thick. Let me go and do what I really meant to do here though again, something somewhat out there like that, and I'll come back there, across there, I think I went up there. Now I really wanted to come something like that and then close. Oops, I've done it again. So this is the trap that you'll find will be a little bit, you'll have to control what you're doing. Okay, so as long as you know you're creating geometry on one plane, when you finish and close that geometry, if it did intend to be coplanar, then it will automatically, line work will automatically become thinner, and it will automatically create a face closing that line work of that geometry. So the important thing is to have a bit of an understanding about the plane that you are drawing your geometry on. Now that could have been like I did out here in space, or it could have been on another face. For example, I'll start drawing on this face, and as long as it's saying something like on face or perpendicular to something, I know I've created something. If I go and grab my push-pull tool again to these bits of geometry that I've created on this original block, have a look at what's happening now. I can push in, or I can pull out this geometry to different positions. And at the moment I'm not worrying about confusing you with controlling the actual size or length of anything that you're doing. We're just having a bit of free form play. I can come over here and pull that. So I think it's time for you to have a little bit of a play yourself now with controlling this geometry, learning how the lines can sit on different coplanar areas, and it doesn't even have to be in the red, green, blue axis. I can pick up my pencil and I could start drawing on blue axis. You've got to move your cursor around until you see which axis it is you're starting to draw on. So I'm on blue axis, I'm coming on red axis, I'm going down on blue axis, therefore I've got this vertical plane. If I close that up now, I know I'll end up with that shape on that vertical blue-red axis direction. So I can grab my push-pull tool now and push that shape out. And that's basically how we create these shapes. So you need to have a little bit of a practice with that, so I'll pause the video again there now, and you can have a bit of a practice at that point.